Welcome to Online Basic Food Hygiene Awareness, brought to you by the Small Enterprise Development Agency. In this awareness, we'll look at ways to improve and maintain food safety in our business.
Let's start by looking at the learning map of this awareness. We'll do the introduction, then discuss food safety and food poisoning, followed by the requirements for food premises and HACCP prerequisite programs. Then we'll discuss food safety principles in detail, pest control, and lastly, we'll look at the benefits of food safety.
Majority of people in South Africa will experience a foodborne disease at some point in their lives. Let's look at some of the food safety outbreaks in South Africa. In September 2011, a food poisoning incident was reported at a taxi rank in Rustenburg, where 40 people, including children, collapsed after eating food from a restaurant at the taxi rank. In Limpopo, 200 people in Sekhukhune were hospitalized for possible food poisoning. Some people were vomiting and others complained of abdominal pains. One of the well-known outbreaks in South Africa is the listeriosis, found in cold meat and killed more than 180 South Africans. These outbreaks highlights the importance of making sure that the food we eat is safe and not contaminated. Below are the South African regulations and guidelines regarding food safety. In South Africa, we have Regulation 638, which is the regulation governing general hygiene requirements for food premises, transport of food, and other related matters. Food manufacturers, restaurants, and all other sectors that are selling ready-to-eat food must have a certificate of acceptability. To obtain a certificate of acceptability, the business must adhere to all the requirements of Regulation 638. Applications are done at the municipal offices. Inspections are carried out by the health inspectors. Then we have Regulation 908, which is the HACCP system, a food safety system that helps the business to identify the hazard and measures to control the hazard or eliminate the hazard completely. Currently in South Africa, HACCP system has been declared compulsory for the following industry: meat and meat products, cold meat, poultry and peanut butter processors, fish and fishery products by the National Department of Health and National Regulator for Compulsory Specification. The dairy and the dairy product, however, has not been declared compulsory, but the Dairy Standard Agency encouraged the use of HACCP principle and the prerequisite program. Then we have ISO 22000, which is the food safety management system that promotes farm-to-fork traceability and allergens management. Let's look at some of the premises requirements as per Regulation 638. According to Regulation 638, the location of your business must be situated away from the sewage plant, livestock farms, sewage drains, dumping site. Your location must be situated in such a way that it prevents cross-contamination. The interior of the building must be smooth, rust-free, non-toxic, dust-proof, with no open joints. Natural ventilation must be provided. Windows shall be fitted with insect-proof screen. Doors shall have a smooth surface with a rubber seal at the bottom. Lighting must be sufficient with appropriate intensity and covered to prevent dust contamination. Drains must be covered, easy to clean, and it must move from clean to dead.
Toilets are also regulated. According to Regulation 638, if you have 15 employees, you need to provide one male toilet with one urinal and one hand wash basin, 2 toilets for females with one hand wash basin, and your toilet must be situated away from the food handling area and it must not be opening from the preparation area. The food premises shall not be used as a sleeping or a living area.
Below are the prerequisite programs as per HACCP system. The premises and structure requirements are similar to Regulation 638. The premises must be away from any source of contamination, and the internal structures such as walls must be smooth Windows must be closed, doors must have rubber seals, floors must have no open joints or dents, drains must move from clean to dirt, and you must provide adequate air and adequate lighting. Water supply must comply with the requirements of SANS 241. All food handling area must have adequate supply of water. Maintenance program must be in place. It must have the list of all the equipment, including thermometers. Waste management, an area shall be provided. It must be clearly marked and it must be away from the food handling area. Purchasing management, the management must evaluate and select suppliers based on their ability to supply good product and service. Product recall and traceability, the business must have a system in place to able to trace their product from raw to finished. Hand washing facilities shall be provided at the entrance to the food handling areas. They must have hot water, soap, and sanitizer. A pest control program must be implemented and maintained. Storage and transportation shall be free from dust, pests, and other sources of contamination. Personal hygiene facilities and toilets, all employees must be provided with protective clothing. An acceptable number of change room and toilets must be provided. Cleaning and disinfectants, a cleaning program must be in place, such as master cleaning schedule. Training, all employees shall be trained on safe handling of food. Records of all the prerequisite program must be maintained. So far, we look at the premises requirements regarding food safety. But what is food safety? Food safety can be defined as handling, preparing, and storing food or drink in a way that best reduces the risk of consumers becoming sick from foodborne diseases. Whereas food quality is making sure that the food is desirable to eat, it has good taste, color, and texture, and it is the responsibility of all the food producers throughout the supply chain to ensure that food safety measures are implemented effectively. In the next slide, we'll look at who are the food producers in the food chain. Food safety is a shared responsibility. Everyone in the food chain must play a role to ensure food safety in all stages, from farm to processing, distribution, retail, and consumers, in order to eliminate food spoilage and food poisoning that could result in foodborne illnesses. It is also important that the consumers must also play their role by adhering to product intended use. What is food poisoning? It is an illness caused by eating contaminated food. It can be caused by bacteria, viruses, or parasites. Those who are fit and healthy, they are more likely to recover in a short time. It usually occurs within 1 to 36 hours of eating contaminated food. However, the Yopi group will not recover as quickly. The Yopi group are your young, old, pregnant, and people with weak immune system, may be critically ill, or they may die as a result of food poisoning. Generally, food poisoning occurs from biological hazards. There are two types of bacterium. We have spoilage bacteria, bacteria that can cause food to deteriorate and develop unpleasant odors, taste, and texture. Then we have pathogens. Pathogens are bacteria or viruses that can cause disease or could result in death. This picture shows some of the food poisoning symptoms. If you are affected, you are more likely to have nausea, fever, dizziness, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, and headache. Food poisoning can be dangerous, and that's why it is important for everyone in the food chain to ensure food safety. There are three types of food safety hazards: biological, chemical, and physical hazards. This hazard may cause food to be unsafe to eat. Biological hazards occur when food gets contaminated by microorganisms. Examples of biological hazards are your bacteria, viruses, parasites, and molds. This may be arise from soil, animal, food, and human bodies. Chemical hazards usually occur in harvesting and during cleaning. Examples of chemical hazards are your processing chemicals, cleaning chemicals, pesticides, and insecticides. Physical hazards usually result from accidental contamination. These are any objects that can be seen with the naked eye: bones, bugs, glass, metal, and hair. The goal of food safety is to control factors that could lead to possible contamination of this hazard. Therefore, this hazard must be identified, controlled, or eliminated in all the stages of processing, either in a food manufacturing or in a catering kitchen facility. There are 4 basic food safety principles that work together to reduce the risk of foodborne illnesses. We have clean, separate, cook, and chill. In the upcoming slides, we'll unpack these following principles in this manner. Under cleaning, we'll look at personal hygiene and cleaning. Under separate, we'll look at storage and cross-contamination. For cooking, we'll discuss correct cooking temperatures and thawing. Then for chilling, we'll look at chill and refreezing. Poor personal hygiene can cause serious problems in the kitchen or in the food manufacturing facility, resulting in microbial contamination or physical contamination. Below, we're going to look at some of the poor personal hygiene behavior: dirty hands, dirty personal clothing, dirty nails, open wounds, jewelry, and uncovered hair. To prevent this behavior, staff must be trained on good personal hygiene, and management must provide personal protective clothing to all the employees. Good personal hygiene is essential for all food handlers. It minimizes the risk of food contamination. Mostly people carry harmful bacteria on their bodies and can be easily transported to food. And therefore, all food handlers must adhere to good personal hygiene as per the picture below. They must wear hair nets, hair must be tied back, correct clean uniform must be worn every day, no illnesses or stomach complaints, all illnesses must be reported, no jewelry, nails must be short and clean, no nail polish, and no facial piercing. It is important that good personal hygiene is maintained by all food handlers. Hand washing is important in personal hygiene. It prevents contamination of food by food handlers. Harmful bacteria on the hands of food handlers can be removed by proper hand washing technique. Hands must be washed with soap and hot water, rinsed, dried, and sanitized. When do we need to wash our hands? Before and during and after preparing food, before eating food, after sneezing, coughing, and blowing our nose, before and after treating a cut or a wound, after using the toilet, and after disposing the bins. If hands are not washed properly, this can lead to a serious biological contamination. Cleaning ensures that all surfaces, equipment, and utensils that comes in contact with food are not contaminated with food poisoning bacteria. Below, we're going to look at the 5-step method of cleaning utensils. You scrape off, where you remove all the leftovers on the utensils. Then you wash with soap and hot water. Your water must be between 60 to 70 degrees. You rinse. Then you immerse your utensils in a sanitizer solution for at least 45 seconds. Then you air dry. Effective cleaning gets rid of bacteria on the utensils, equipment, and surfaces. What do we need to clean? Always remember to apply the clean as you go system. Do not let the food waste and the dirt build up. You need to clean your preparation area, utensils, equipment, drains, toilets and changing room, your waste bins, and always make use of detergents and sanitizers that are food grade and follows the manufacturer's instructions. Food storage. When it comes to keeping food safe, food storage is a major issue. Food which is not correctly stored can spoil or cause contamination which can lead to food poisoning. There are three types of food storage and food safety: dry storage, frozen storage, which must be kept at minus 18 degrees, fridge storage must be between 4 to 5 degrees. All containers kept in this storage must be closed and labeled, must be placed off the floor and away from the wall to prevent dust and pest infestation. The humidity and the temperature of the dry storage must be monitored, including the temperature of the freezer and the fridge, and record must be kept. Specified stock rotation system, such as FIFO, shall be observed. Let's look at some of the poor food storage. In this picture, raw vegetables are stored together with raw meat. Containers are not covered and not labeled. In the next picture, a box of raw meat is stored together with a pot that has cooked product inside. The pot is uncovered and not labeled. The meat is placed directly on the floor and the pallet is very close to the wall. In the next picture, although the contents are closed, but possible cross-contamination is very high. Good food storage. In this picture, it shows us how we must keep our product in a refrigerator. The dairy product must be placed on the top shelf, followed by cooked meats, then covered raw meats, then the salads. All this product must be in tight containers and clearly labeled. Product that is kept in a warehouse must be placed on pallets and the pallets must be away from the wall, and the first in first out system must be applied at all times.
Transportation of food. During transportation of food, the vehicle and the food shall be protected from dust, pests, and other contaminants. The temperature for hot food should be maintained at 63 degrees or above during transportation. The temperature for food requiring refrigeration shall be maintained at 4 degrees or below, and the food should be transferred to the transporting vehicle already cooled to 4 degrees. The vehicle and containers intended for transporting cooked frozen food shall be suitable for that purpose, and the temperature should be maintained at minus 18 degrees or below. The transfer time between the transportation truck and the storage facility should be less than 20 minutes. Food transport vehicle shall be used for food only and allow separation of different food products to prevent cross-contamination. Control measures such as temperature, humidity, and other conditions necessary to protect food materials from harmful microbial growth shall be implemented. Food shall not be transported with non-food items, and the transported food must be traceable back to the batch.
We spoke about cross-contamination during food storage, but what is cross-contamination? It's the process by which bacteria or other microorganisms are intentionally transferred from one substance or object to another with harmful effect. What causes cross-contamination? It is mostly likely to happen when raw food touches ready-to-eat food or fresh product, or when handling food after using the toilet without first properly washing your hands, touching raw meats and then preparing vegetable without washing your hands in between, using an apron to wipe your hands between handling different foods, or wiping a counter with a towel then using it to dry your hands. What measures can we take to prevent cross-contamination? We can prevent cross-contamination by implementing the use of color-coding cutting boards, by keeping our workstations clean and sanitized. All fresh raw material must be washed before use. Always check the best before date and the use by date on all your raw material before you use. Separate your raw meat from cooked meat and fresh vegetable. Waste disposal must be done frequently to avoid waste buildup. And always keep your protective clothing, cleaning chemical, raw material, packaging material, and your final product separately. We are now on the third food safety principle, which is cooking. It is extremely important to make sure that food is cooked properly. You must cook your food at the proper temperature for a specified time to ensure that you kill all your harmful bacteria. According to the Food Safety Temperature Danger Zone charts, food must be cooked at 75 degrees or above. Reheating of leftovers or cooked frozen food must be done at 74 degrees. Hot holding temperatures must be maintained between 60 degrees or above. Chilled food must be kept at 8 degrees or below. Meat and meat product must also be kept between 4 to 5 degrees. Frozen product must be kept at minus 18 degrees or below. The danger zone is between 10 degrees and 60 degrees. At this zone, the condition is favorable for microbial growth. Therefore, minimize the time that the food spends on this temperature in order to keep the food safe. Always check the temperature of food while cooking. To check the internal temperature of food such as a whole chicken, you must make use of a probe thermometer. Probe thermometers are widely used in the food industry to measure the internal temperature of food. If the temperature checks are not done properly, this could result in a half-cooked meat, which favors the microbial growth, resulting in food poisoning. Therefore, frequent monitoring of cooking temperature is highly recommended. Let's look at thawing. Food are safe while frozen. However, as soon as food begins to defrost, any bacteria that may have been present before can begin to multiply. There are 3 safe ways to thaw frozen meat: refrigerator thawing, cold water thawing, and microwave thawing. Refrigerator thawing, although it's slow, but it is one of the safe thawing methods. Always ensure that the meat is placed in a non-dripping container at the bottom of the fridge to prevent cross-contamination. Cold water thawing. This is done by placing the meat in a leak-proof plastic bag. Submerge it in a cold tap water. It is important to change the water every 30 minutes. And when using this method, meat must be cooked immediately after thawing. Microwave thawing, also known as the faster thawing method, but it exposes the meat to possible microbial growth. Therefore, immediately after thawing, the meat must be cooked. And never thaw your food at room temperature or in warm water. We are now going to look at the correct chilling method. Meat and poultry defrosted in the refrigerator may be refrozen before or after cooking. Remember, this is the safe thawing method, where thawing is carried out in a 5 degrees environment, which prevents microbial growth. If thawed by other methods, such as cold water or microwave thawing, cooking must be done before refreezing, and the food must be kept at minus 18 degrees. The cook-freeze methods, food must be cooked immediately after cooling. The cooked food shall be frozen as rapidly as possible. Cooked frozen food shall be thawed at 5 degrees and shall not be refrozen. Reheating of cooked frozen food must be done at 74 degrees or above. This method is mainly used in the hospitality industry to prevent microbial growth on cooked food during storage. We are now going to look at pest control. Pests are highly drawn towards food. Therefore, the kitchen, food processing, and storage areas are just the places for pests like cockroaches, flies, ants, rats, because there is food, warmth, and shelter. Food producers or food sellers cannot do without pest control. All food premises must have a pest control program in place. It must be implemented and maintained at all times. Insect electrocutors and other insect repellers must be installed. Pests carry dirt and bacteria. This could lead to a possible cross-contamination. Gaps on doors and floors shall remain closed. And it is important to note that pest control is one of the requirements for Regulation 638 and HACCP prerequisite programs. It's time for an activity. We have learned so much about food safety hazards. In the picture below, see how many food safety hazards you can identify and their impact in food safety. There are at least 20 food safety hazards in the picture. Here are the answers to the food safety hazard activity. By looking at this picture, we can see all the 3 food safety hazards: physical, chemical, and biological hazards. Remember, the goal of food safety is to control factors that could lead to possible contamination of this hazard. Therefore, they need to be eliminated at all times. Below, we're going to look at some of the benefits of basic food safety. They help you to produce safe products, prevent problems before they occur, reduce foodborne diseases. They help you to be compliant with the law, increase shelf life of your product. They help you to satisfy your customers. They give you a good reputation to your business. In conclusion, good food hygiene, it's all about controlling harmful bacteria which can cause serious illnesses. All food safety hazards must be identified, controlled, or eliminated. To avoid the risk of food poisoning among customers, food handlers must obey all the food safety principles rules: clean, separate, cook, and chill. This will protect the business reputation and the consumers. This brings us to the end of basic food hygiene awareness. Hope you will make use of what you've learned in your business. For more information or questions regarding this awareness, you can visit our website at www.seda.org.za. Thank you.